Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's Zero here, back with some more Diablo action. And I finally got an SMK, so that means today we're going to start talking about some goddamn SMK builds. Finally. I cannot believe how long it took. Paragon 651 before I got one. And then, I get two of the fucking things in 2 days. Can you believe that? 2 in 2 days. 651 Paragon levels without one, and then I get two. Anyway. Let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about a physical build, and we're actually going to be using a Homunculus build. It's the first time I've ever used a Homunculus, and I've been waiting for an SMK just to be able to use it. So let's get into the skills. We're going to be using Reign of Toads for our generator, which is really just to proc Fetish Sycophants, and that's pretty much all we're using it for. It's not going to be doing much damage, but it will pull out our Fetish Sycophants like crazy. We're going to be using Sacrifice, Provoke the Pack, gain 20% increased damage done for 5 seconds after using Sacrifice. This is big. This is our bread and butter. It's what's going to push our damage right through the roof. Obviously, we're going to be using Fetish Army because we have an SMK, and we're going to be using Legion of Daggers. Again, we're going physical. We're using we're using Frozen Piranhas. Big Bad Voodoo Slam Dance, obviously, again with the SMK, it's almost 100% uptime. It's fantastic. Spirit Walk with Jaunt. And for the passives, we're going Fetish Sycophants, Pierce the Veil for straight up damage increase, Gruesome Feast for even more damage increase, and Fierce Loyalty for insane movement speed. Let's get into the gear. Obviously, we need an SMK for this build, guys. Mine rolled pretty good. I would have obviously liked an ancient one, but I guess that'll take another 651 Paragon levels. So, if you get Vitality on that, just roll it off into damage percent. You're going to want to get as much damage out of your SMK as possible, obviously. And then we're going to be using the Homunculus. Mine is ancient, but the roll is not too great. I really would have preferred Fetish Army damage instead of 50% life, but it's not perfect world, obviously, and just gonna have to farm another one. But you definitely want a 4 second. 4 second is 100% almost required. If you have a 5 second or a 6 second or a 7 second, it really diminishes how much damage you can output, and it just ends up not being worth it, in my opinion. Okay, so Star Metal Kukri, Homunculus are must-haves for this build. In fact, all of the gear is must-haves. You can't really go with anything else, in my opinion. We're going to be running Mask of Jerem, obviously, Intelligence, Vitality, Crit Chance, as per usual, with as high pet damage as you can possibly get. We're running the 3-piece of Oghilds, shoulders, chest, and bracers. Go with Fetish Army on both your shoulders and your chest. That is a must. You want to boost your Fetish Army damage as much as you possibly can, and that's why we would like to have it on the Mojo, but we don't. And on the bracers, you're going to go physical skills, intelligence, vitality, and crit chance, as per every freaking build there is. We're using Tasker and Theos, obviously. Every pet build pretty much uses them, and this is no different. You're going to want to try and go for Trifecta. I know that's easier said than done, but if you can, it's really going to put your damage through the roof. Witching Hour, Intelligence, Vitality, Attack Speed, Crit Hit Damage. That's pretty standard. It'd be really nice if we could get a an Ancient one on here, or Life on Kill would be very nice on the secondary as well. And we're going with Kane's set, 2 pieces. Intelligence, Vitality, Armor, and preferably Life After Kill on the pants, and Intelligence, Vitality, Armor, and preferably Life Percent or something over movement speed, but it is what it is. Sometimes you can't get ridiculously tanky like that, but I've seen some boots that have it. And we're going with this because we want that extra attack speed. The attack speed is really, really powerful for this build. The more you can call down your Reign of Toads, the faster you're going to pull out your fetishes from the Fetish Sycophant passive. which means the more damage you're going to be doing. And those fetishes from the passive are also going to activate the cooldown on the Star Metal Kukri. So you constantly want your fetishes to be attacking so that you can have 100% uptime on both Fetish Army and Big Bad Voodoo. Very, very important. It's kind of what puts your damage through the roof, constantly being able to drop the Big Bad Voodoo. Amulet, using a Countess Julia's cameo, pretty much really the only usable thing I have for this build right now. I've been trying to get a Hellfire, but they just haven't been rolling real good for me. So go for attack speed, crit damage, and crit chance if you can. Like, I would drop the main stat and go for Trifecta, or I would drop the main stat and go for physical skills, one of the two. But yeah, you want to try and keep your stats, your attacks per second around 2, your crit hit chance around 50, and your crit hit damage 450 and up. Those are kind of like the low end that you want, really. I mean, I know some of them, like the attack speed seems a little high, but the higher the better. So 2 is kind of like the low end for attack speed. If you can get any more than that, that'd be really fantastic. You'll be pumping out Fetish Sycophants like crazy if you can get it above 2. Okay. And rings, I'm using a Rochelle's Ring of Larceny, only because it rolled ridiculous. It rolled Trifecta. It rolled attack speed, crit damage, crit chance, and intelligence, so I just rolled a main stat off for a socket, and that just turns the ring into an absolute beast. And when you're running Solar, you're going to run Unity, obviously. You run the Unity combo with your follower, so he just soaks up half of your damage. When you're running in groups, I've been running a Band of Untold Secrets just because it's got so many stats on it. It's a very strong ring, and of course you can't get these anymore. They removed them from the game, and they're going to be rolling as a different ring. Well, the same looking ring with a different name, and it's going to have a wizard effect on it. So if you have one of these that's nice, definitely use it, because they're very good tanky rings, strong rings, great rings. Gems, we're going with the Pain Enhancer. The bleed effect really stacks up when you have this many pets. When you have this many fetishes just attacking like crazy, they can proc the bleed effect. So that bleed damage stacks up incredibly fast and turns into a shitload of damage. So it's a very powerful ring in this build, or not ring, but gem in this build. Bane of the Powerful for the increased damage after killing elites, and a straight up constant increased damage versus elites is very, very, very good. And lastly, we're going for Bane of the Trapped, which is also why we're using Frozen Piranhas. Just that damage increase from Bane of the Trapped is very good, and you can drop the Frozen Piranhas very, very often. So it's just a nice gem to add to it. You could go a Gem of Infectious Toxin here if you want to, or a couple of other gems, but this is just what I like running, and I've had a lot of success with it. Okay, so why are we doing the Homunculus? That's probably the big question, is why run the Homunculus over something like a Eucoprian and a Tallman's? And the reason is because we are using Provoke the Pack. That 20% increased damage for 5 seconds might not sound like much, but when you take into account, we'll look at our effective DPS for a second. We have 1.9 million effective DPS with no buffs whatsoever. So the way the Homunculus works is every 4 seconds it's calling a dog for us, and when you hit that cap, it's going to continuously try to call another dog. So the moment you sacrifice your first dog, another one's going to pop up just like that, which means you can actually get 5 stacks of sacrifice really, really quickly. And we'll just use this for a second just to show how far up the effective DPS goes. We're going to get 5 stacks. Look at the effective, 3.5 million effective DPS. And that's without Bane of the Powerful being active. That's without Slam Dance being on. So that's huge. And that's also without Gruesome Feast. If you have 5 stacks of Gruesome Feast, your damage goes, your effective DPS goes well over 5 million. And you fetishes, if you have Gruesome Feast, 5 stacks, if you have 5 stacks from this sacrifice, if your Bane of the Powerful is on and your Slam Dance is down, I've seen the fetishes hitting anywhere from 40 to 60 million crits each, and you have like 23 of them out at a time, and they're all critting like crazy. Think of the damage. Think of how high your damage output is under those circumstances. And because you're running SMK, You have almost 100% uptime on your Big Bad Voodoo. This damage is so easy to maintain. Let's drop Big Bad Voodoo for a second and we'll get the stacks, okay? 5 stacks, Big Bad Voodoo, 4.6 million. That's without Bane of the Powerful and without Gruesome Feast stacks. The damage of this build is absolutely ridiculous. And it shreds, I mean it shreds T6. T6 rifts are just an absolute cakewalk. I mean, you walk through a T6 rift in 5 minutes flat, start over, another 5 minutes, you've done another one. It's ridiculous. And greater rifting, and keep in mind that this gear is not optimized yet. It's far from optimized yet. I've been having a real materials problem, a lack thereof. So it's nowhere near optimized. I need to make a lot more pieces. I need to reroll a lot of stuff. I need to get a new Homunculus. I need an ancient Mask of Jerem. I need a Hellfire Amulet. So this build right now, as good as it is maybe half as good as it can be. This build is freaking insane. It is so strong. To the point where I had a lot of this stuff in my stash when I first got the SMK, and I threw it all on without re-rolling anything, without optimizing it at all. I walked in to a 38 Grift and just steamrolled it without any optimization whatsoever, with no re-rolls. And that was without any ancient gear. It's that strong. So yeah, you guys got to go check this build out if you have an SMK, if you have a Homunculus. Check it out. The rest, almost all of the rest of this you can craft. Of course, you're going to need a TNT and an MOJ, but 3, 4, 5 of the pieces of this set you can actually craft. So go out, try it. This build is crazy good. We got to look at the Paragon points before we finish it off, guys. Again, I said this in other videos before, I don't really like doing the Paragon points because everybody's a different Paragon level, but we'll look at what I got going on real quick. I always max my movement speed out, and that's actually probably wrong because I've got some movement speed on my boots. So max your movement speed out first for core, and then go all intelligence. For offense, attack speed, crit chance, crit damage is what you want to go for first, and then cooldown reduction. You really don't need the cooldown reduction on this build at all. I mean, it's going to make things go down even quicker, but with the SMK, it doesn't matter. You don't need it. Defense, I always go armor, life, all res, and then into life regen. And then for utility, life on hit, always first for me, resource cost, and then area damage, and then everything else goes into gold fine. Just bonus, right? So there you have it, guys. First SMK finally dropped for me. This is the physical sacrifice build. It's crazy strong. Go check it out. Leave a comment down below, like, comment, subscribe, guys, and later.